our folks here, so I'm going to go ahead and let me see if I can do this. I don't have the traveling bell, so this is crazy.
Drinking glass and a spoon works pretty well. That's what I used to do.
Well, let's go ahead and Jessica, if you could get ready, let's go ahead and we will go ahead and get underway. Hey, there we go. All right. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today at the Rotary Club of Salem here on Wednesday, October 28th, 2020. Beautiful day outside, so I'm very glad that we're all inside. So it's my honor and privilege to be serving today for the vacationing President Sue. I'm Bruce Anderson, past president, and always a pleasure and honor to join y'all. Again, if you have any guests that are joining y'all today, please go ahead and note that in the chat box. If there are any visiting Rotarians, we also want to know that as well, and announcements too. So you can do that. Let's go ahead. We will get underway with the pledge, followed by Tim Nissen, who will be doing our invocation and inspiring words to get things underway. So Jessica, if you could please.
Okay.
And if everyone could please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Jessica. And Mr. Nissen.
Okay. 55 years ago, my high school football coach posted a quote from President Kennedy that I found very inspirational and wrote it down, and I refer to it every now and then. It's a paraphrase of a similar quote from President Theodore Roosevelt. The language is somewhat dated, but in light of the political season, I would like to share it with you. The credit belongs to the man who actually is in the arena, whose face is mired by dust and sweat and blood, who knows the great enthusiasm, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place will never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither victory nor defeat. While I am tired of the political ads, especially the negative ones, I am grateful to those who are in the arena, both men and women. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. And here, I would second that. Thank you so much. Let's see, do we have any guests joining us today? Any guests or visiting or student guests even? I didn't know if we had any of those folks today. Throw that open.
People can say that in the chat, or if anybody wants to unmute their mic to say that, go right ahead. Elise says no students today.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so I have to say that Ryan Collier has pushed my buttons here, so I'm just gonna have to point out, if you guys didn't hear about this terrible accident that happened the other day involving some cows, there's debris everywhere. That's as cheesy as I get, so. Have you missed me yet? Gosh, okay, wonderful. Do we have any visiting Rotarians today? Any visiting Rotarians joining us? If not, if you have any, I also want to just open up the floor to any announcements anyone might have for any upcoming events. And if not, we can get back to that. Be sure you unmute if you do have one. But otherwise, let's go ahead and Allison Kelly, would you please take it away with bell ringers, please?
I will. Thank you, Past President Bruce. I don't like to say how many seconds it took me to get that joke, but I got it. And yeah, I think we all miss you. So I have 4 so far, and we will be taking bell ringers from the floor. If you do make a bell ringer from the floor, we'll make sure that you get called on, and also just invite you to go online and make your donation on the website. So number 1, Pam Lawson is ringing the bell for a Women in Horticulture program that will take place on Friday, November 6th from 9 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. In this free online program, participants will explore the many exciting career opportunities in horticulture, learn about job duties, career pathways, and tips on how to get a job or internship. Each session will last 30 minutes with time for Q&A. We have 7 great speakers from across the U.S. lined up, including Rotary's very own Elise Bauman with Salem Harvest. The program is co-sponsored by the Lord and Shriver Conservancy and Chemeketa Community College's Horticulture Department. To find out more, click on this link, and we'll send that link around. And then to add your name to the Zoom invitation, please contact Pam at pam@lordshriver.org. So non-students and men are welcome too. President Bruce, please ring the bell. And the second one, I will do a bell ringer in honor of Liberty House and the Salem Family YMCA in Marion and Polk counties for 5 days of action to help people become more aware in different ways to prevent sexual abuse of children. And you can just visit the Liberty House Facebook page and share and join part in that campaign. So thank you for that. We all can play a great role in helping our kids be safe. Please ring the bell. And then Cindy Linesar, do you want to unmute yourself or?
Yep.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Cindy Linesar with Salem Health. I am also the current president of the Salem Police Foundation, and I am ringing the bell for the new Salem Police Department facility. Citizens of Salem should be very proud of this facility. This building was built around police work and the work that we need to do to keep our community safe and proud of our department. And it was a great collaboration between the architects and the department on how they do their job. Couple areas I'd like to highlight, the first being the canine officers. Before, there was no place for the canines to come inside. So officers would leave their cars running with the dogs in them and the air conditioning going. Now the canines have their own part of the facility and can come into the kennels, can be washed and hang out inside, saving energy, of course, because we're not running cars. The next is the crime lab. Sending in, things out to the state police takes months and more to get information back. Now we can turn around fingerprints within an hour. And we will also be making those services available to other departments if they'd like us to process some of their crime evidence. So as we open up, I hope that I can schedule a vocational tour when COVID goes away for you Rotarians to come take a peek. It's an amazing facility. Please ring the bell.
Yeah, awesome. That's awesome. And then past President Bruce, you have a bell ringer.
Oh, yes. In light of the awesome display of baseball prowess, the Los Angeles Dodgers are our World Series champions. Hooray. So it was an awesome game, awesome ending. Thankfully, they didn't make any errors like they did the other night. So I'm thankful for that. So that's it.
Yay. All right, let's ring the bell. I do not see any others in the chat box. Does anybody else have a bell ringer for today? I see Linda Norris has a hand up.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to do a bell ringer for Heather Hendrickson from Staten. She's the woman who decided after the Santam fires to collect donated quilts to hand out to victims of the fire. And her goal was 400 quilts. And as of a couple of days ago, she has over 2,200 quilts that have been donated from all across the United States. And she has a group of 200 volunteers, and I'm one of those helping her with both the quilting and the binding and other things like that. So what was just a very generous gesture turned into a huge undertaking, and the quilts will be distributed on December 4th to fire victims.
Wow, President Bruce, please ring the bell. Okay, I do not see anything else in the chat, and I kind of scrolled through. I don't see anybody else's hand waving. So thank you for that. So Linda and Cindy, if you wouldn't mind emailing me your bell ringer, and then I'll be able to include it in the synopsis for today, and I'll get that over to Pam, and then go online and make your donation, and I will do the same, and I'll turn it back to you, President Bruce.
All right. Thank you so much, Allison. And thank you so much, guys, for your support there. Just a reminder that bell ringers go to support the awesome works that our Salem Rotary Foundation does in our community and elsewhere. So thank you so much. Just want to make sure we're a little bit running ahead of schedule here, but just want to give one final call for any announcements for upcoming events that were not covered in bell ringers. I'm not seeing any. So, alrighty. Then at this point, I'm going to go ahead, and we've got a great program lined up today. And if I could, please turn it over to Cindy Lanasar for today's program, please. Thanks.
Thank you, Past President Bruce. First, I would like to start with our virtual table. So depending on how you have the heads oriented on your screen, to my left or my right, first seated at the table is Julie Hilty. She is the Director of Business Partnerships with Family Building Blocks. Julie is on the head table today because Family Building Blocks partners with community action programs in early childhood education and development. And as you'll learn today, nutrition plays a vital role in brain development and helping to propel educational outcomes. Next at our table, again to your left or your right, is my wonderful and great friend Tricia Frizzell, Program Director for Community Action's Home Youth Services. Tricia's program supports youth that are 11 to 17 years of age and are at risk, homeless, or disenfranchised. And although that might be the definition of the circumstances for the over 500 youth that Tricia's program cares for annually, Tricia always says that her kids are at promise. And she is an amazing advocate for healthy nutrition, healthy choices, and healthy transformation of the youth in her care. Finally, I'd like to introduce Linda Bednars, who is a board member at Community Action for the past 6 years, I believe. Linda's education and counseling practice is dedicated to mental health. And in her role as a counselor at New Perspective, she provides unique insights for the programs at Community Action to propel the work forward. So please welcome the head table. Yay. Now it is my honor and pleasure to introduce Sue Maxwell, Program Director for Community Action Agency's Nutrition First program. I've known Sue and worked with her since 1999. And I had to chuckle when I asked her for some tidbits for a bio for her. She has 2 degrees, an AA in Human Behavior from Chemeketa Community College, and a BA in Management from George Fox University. And with that educational pursuit, she never thought she'd be working with small children. Yet here she is in her 28th year at Nutrition First, often joking that her counseling skills do come in handy because she's usually the only adult her daycare providers see during the day. Sue is very interested in nutrition and fell naturally into the role of managing our local USDA effort. Sue and her team work with 136 home-based daycare providers supporting nutritionally balanced meal service provided to thousands of children in our area. This field is tricky due to the extensive rules and oversights by the state and the feds, and many programs don't make it. That's why Sue and Nutrition First is so great. Over the years, her program has excelled and has been asked time and time again by the Oregon Department of Education to take on more and more responsibilities. Community Action's normal footprint is Marion and Polk County. However, Sue's footprint is 11 counties. In her personal life, Sue is married to Crick. They have 2 grown children, and she is anxiously awaiting and pushing for grandchildren. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce my friend, Sue Maxwell.
Thank you, Cindy. That was very nice. I do want to make one little correction. We actually currently serve 468 childcare providers rather than 136. So we are very, very busy.
I missed that by just 300.
And just 300, no biggie. So what this program does, and Cindy's right, I never ever thought that I would get into nutrition for children. I wanted to work with adults. I have worked with adults, but it all goes kind of hand in hand. And so I definitely can use my counseling degree when I'm in the home. It's absolutely true that home child care providers who generally work by themselves, they don't see any other adults throughout the entire day. So when they see me or when they see one of my staff, they usually want to do a lot of talking, and it's not necessarily about nutrition. So we do become their counselors, and that makes it kind of a nice way to bond with our providers. So when I started 28 years ago, this program has been a part of Community Action Agency since 1982, and I started in 1992. And so at that time, there were 21 child care food programs in Oregon. There are currently 3. This program, it's not a moneymaker. We don't get grants. We are paid entirely on how many child care providers put in a monthly claim. So the fewer child care providers we have, the less amount of money we get. So it's a difficult program to run. The feds have tons and tons and tons of regulation, and then the state gets to put regulations on top of those regulations. So it's a difficult program, but we must be doing something right because we're still here. Although we are federally funded, our local funder or our local boss is the Oregon Department of Education. They do ask me on a regular basis to pick up other counties. So we have picked up some, but we used to just focus on Marion, Polk, and we still do those counties, and then Yamhill, and then it just continued. So we are doing 11 counties. We do all the areas up in the Portland area, down to Marion County, all the way up the canyon as far as Detroit, although we don't have a child care provider in Detroit at the moment. We do Lane County, we do all of Lincoln County, so we're going from Tillamook all the way down to Florence. I was in Florence yesterday. It was a gorgeous day, so that's a really nice little benefit of working for this program. And then we do all the way up and down the I-5 corridor as far as Cottage Grove. So it's a lot of driving. There are actually 5.5 of us here that run this program for those 468 providers. And that equates to, the number is very fluid, but that equates to right now anywhere between 6,000 to 6,500 children. So what our job is we really want to teach home childcare providers how to serve healthy meals and how to take some of their favorite recipes and tweak them a little so they're more healthy and they have less fat and less sugar. So a lot of our homes are, they're absolutely professional childcare providers. They can care from anywhere to 10 to 16 kids, whether they're certified or licensed. We also have a lot of just grandmas and great grandmas that are taking care of their great grandkids. Those are the ones that are a little more difficult because they have to follow a lot of rules. That's hard to do when you're caring for your own grandkids, saying, oh, you need to eat this or you need to eat that, or no, you can't have this. But, we can give them some fun ideas. So when we go into the home, we are currently, we have to do 3 visits per year. USDA and the child care providers, or the child care programs, we did not take any time off for the pandemic. We have continued to make in-home person visits. Of course, it was summertime, and so we could do a lot of visits outside. We use lots of sanitizing fluid on our hands, and we're spraying stuff, and we wear masks and we wear gloves and we do all kinds of stuff. We don't share pens. And mostly the child care providers and certainly the children have been happy to see us. So when we go into the homes, most of these visits are unscheduled. We only see people 3 times a year. The program is, it would be an easy program if you wanted to cheat on it. Hence, that is why we have gone from 21 childcare programs down to 3, because you can commit fraud very easily. So we only see people 3 times a year. We've got a great group of childcare providers. I don't think that they'll commit fraud, but that's why our visits are unscheduled. So we drop in. We're usually in the homes for 60 minutes plus. We try to drop in at a mealtime or a snack time. We want to look at the cleanliness of someone's kitchen. We want to see if the provider has children wash their hands. We want to look at the meal and see if there are enough components and the right kind of components and enough food for the kids. Providers have to keep daily menus for us. They record them daily. They send in those menus at the end of the month, and then they're paid once a month. So this is a free program to childcare providers. And what it does, when you're a childcare provider and you're feeding healthy food, even if you're not feeding healthy food, food is one of the largest expenses for a daycare provider. And so what this program does, it's an offshoot of the school lunch program. So our rules are more stringent, but it's similar to the school lunch program. And what it does is it reimburses the childcare providers for a goodly portion of the foods that they are purchasing. So our providers, depending on how many kids they have or for what meals they claim, our providers are getting anywhere from $90 to close to $2,000 per month. So we are, the pass-through dollars or the reimbursement dollars come directly from USDA. We are distributing close to anywhere between 3 to 4 million, a little closer to 4 million right now because we have new providers. One of the largest food program in Oregon just was shut down. They're in Portland, so we just picked up more than another 100 new providers. So we are really running like mad because we have to do all of those 100 visits in home this month. So I'm taking a little break and doing this, and then I'll go right back out and do some more visits. So we all know, I mean, I think most people know that good nutrition aids the development of a child's brain. Most of that good nutrition, I mean, it's good to have throughout your life, but particularly within the first 2 years. That's when a child's brain grows the most, and they really need healthy food for that. So we do, every time we go to the visit, we have a different unit, an educational unit. So we might do a unit on fats and the hidden fats in food, and we show lots and lots of props. Some of those I will show you. Or we do a unit on sugar, and again, the hidden sugars, and I've got more props for that. Usually if we go in on a visit, a lot of times we have to do dinner visits, and so the child care provider, when they see those props and all the kids see them, they'll call in their husbands, honey, come and look at this. This is why you have to quit drinking so much soda pop, or you have to quit eating potato chips. And so we're training everyone. And then the kids, we read them a story with whatever, it goes with whatever unit we're doing. And we have stickers for the kids, and we have color sheets. And it's so cool because we'll read this story. The kids usually call us either the food lady or the story lady or the sticker lady, and they will greet us the next time they come. And they'll say, food lady, I ate my tomatoes, or I ate all my zucchini, or I tried eggplant. And they really get into it, and it's a lot of fun. And that's what we want to do, is make healthy food fun as well as nutrition. So some of those props I was going to show you. I hope this will work. This is 12 teaspoons of sugar. So any guesses on what food or this might go to? This is the amount of pop in a can, in a 12-ounce can. So if any of you are drinking pop, please dump it out, because you're having this much sugar every time you drink a soda pop. This is what providers want me to show their husbands, and this is what the kids tell their parents. It's too much sugar. We do tell the kids, you know, once in a while, absolutely once in a while, it is fine to have a cookie or chicken nuggets, but just once in a while. So speaking of chicken nuggets, this is a unit we did on fat. And so these 5 nuggets, these actually come from McDonald's, which are not claimable on the food program. But if you do go in and get a 5-piece order of chicken nuggets, 3 of those nuggets comprises the amount of fat in 5 nuggets. So what we do is we will go in, and we've got lots and lots of recipes for the childcare providers. We'll show them how easy it is to make homemade chicken nuggets. Number 1, they taste great. Number 2, you're not going to have all that fat. Number 3, they're so much more healthy for the kids. So that's one of the things we do. Along with that, kids seem to love fish sticks. So if you go and buy just any old brand of fish sticks, half of each fish stick is comprised of fat. So again, we've got recipes for homemade fish sticks, or, although I don't like to name drop too much, Trident makes an excellent fish stick that's very low in fat. So we always have units like that, nutritional units for childcare providers. We give them lots and lots and lots of written material and booklets. A couple summers ago, we did a unit on taking kids to the farmer's market, which is really a lot of fun to do, and kids can really look at all that food and choose what it is that they might want to try. So we called all the farmers markets in the area, and we're talking at that time, we did 6 different counties. We got the times that they're open and their hours, which I just said, and their phone numbers. And we made up a whole brochure. And then USDA had this great little cookbook on using foods from farmers markets. And then we put together a little kit on growing your own salsa garden. And so it had jalapeno peppers and tomatoes and cilantro and everything that the provider could put in a bucket with dirt and grow that garden with their kids. So it made for a lot of fun. You know, I'm probably forgetting some things. I did want to tell you, you know, I told you how far we go and the distance in which we drive. So our mileage checks, our mileage is huge, particularly right now because we're going all over. This is the start of our fiscal year. We're running anywhere from, we go up to about 4,500 miles per month, and that's with all 4.5 of us that are doing visits. I want to find out, let's see. So I know Cindy had mentioned building blocks, and of course we've got Head Start. We've got Trisha's program, which is Home Youth and Resource. All of us use the USDA guidelines, and so it's really nice because kids all the way through their life actually can get the same kind of guidelines and get the same kind of training, and that's really important. I wanted to find out, because I know I talked a little quickly, does anyone have questions and anything that I've forgotten?
Sue, I was wondering, you kind of touched on it just a little bit. Can you share the story that we wrote up in the annual report about the daycare provider and planting her garden and what the kids learned through that entire process?
Yep, that is awesome. That is one of my certified homes. They grow, it's a wife-husband team, and they run a certified home, meaning they can have up to 16 kids, and they do have 16 kids. So they have this huge garden in town, and it's fenced, and the kids get to do a lot of the planting and a lot of the weeding and a lot of the picking. And so what's very awesome is that many times they will go out and they'll pick their strawberries or their cucumbers or their squash or tomatoes. The kids will pick them, and because they planted them, they grew them, they watched them grow, and they picked them, they want to try those foods. Because we all know that if kids have a hand in their food, if they get to pick their food, if they get to help prepare their food, if they get to serve their food, they're more likely going to eat it because they can own it. It's their food. And it makes it, it's awesome to watch. And so we did do a big story on that. Another of my providers, another certified home, also has a garden, and she was written up in one of our national newsletters. So that was pretty cool. So food programs are getting known more, but it has to be out in writing, because otherwise the people that know about child care food programs are the providers themselves and the parents and the child care providers. I'm sorry, the child care children. They know about us. So I wanted to talk a bit on the pandemic. So the pandemic has been horrible for almost everyone. It really pretty much devastated our food program. We lost at the outset, at the end of March, the beginning of April, we lost 140 child care providers shut their doors. They were worried about COVID. Many parents lost their jobs, so they weren't getting children in their daycare centers, and they were just shut down. And these providers, they're self-employed. It wasn't until 6 months later that they were actually able to even apply for unemployment because they're self-employed. So we've gotten close to 100 providers back slowly, but it really has been devastating. And childcare providers now, just like the Head Starts and every place else that cares for young children, schools aren't in session. So now the child care provider is responsible not only for taking care of our children and feeding them properly, but also facilitating their schoolwork. So they've got a huge, huge job, and they don't get paid very much. So I'm really glad that the food program is around to at least reimburse some costs. That's about it. We are getting people back, but it's slow and it's difficult. So, but it's a great program, and we really, really want providers to come on. Again, it's free and it's extremely helpful to get a monthly check. So for serving food you're going to serve anyway, it's just going to be a little healthier. So.
Great. So we've got a few questions that have started to come in here, but I did not want to cut you off here.
Okay.
Yeah, that had additional comments or anything. So.
No, I'd be happy to take those questions.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. Let's go to, actually, Cindy had one, in addition to the one that she asked about, about your visuals that you showed. What's the daily recommended amount of fat and sugar for youth? And the same for adults.
Thank you, Cindy. Unfortunately, I don't know other than saying low. We're not actually nutritionists. We try to show good, healthy food, but we are not a nutritionist, so I don't have the RDAs on that. They're easy to find. Most providers are not asking me for that. They just want to know more healthy recipes and how to get rid of some of the salt, the fat, and the sugar. So, but thanks for showing me up there, Cindy.
I like the visuals too, personally. So that's great.
The kids love those.
Oh,
yeah.
You know, it helps me too understand and keep track of all of that stuff too.
It does. So. It does.
So next question, is participation in the program required for provider licensure or certification?
It is not in the state of Oregon. You know, it's odd that this program, we are supposed to be run by the same regulations in all 50 states. However, every state does get to be a little bit different. So there are states in our country that the licensing does require that you're on a child care food program. Within Oregon, that is not true. It is not required. It's highly recommended, but not required.
Thank you. Linda Menars, you said you have a question, so
yeah.
fire away.
Hey, Sue, great talk. I love the visuals. I know you shared those at a board meeting one time. It was a lot of fun. I know that you cover such a wide area now in the state, so many different counties, and I was just kind of curious about how many providers are speak non-English speakers, and how your staff, if you have staff on board, I believe you may do, but that can provide that support for them.
Yep, absolutely. We have probably 110 monolingual Spanish speaking, and we do have a bilingual, bicultural monitor on staff who's gotten a whole lot busier because of those 100 or so providers we got just this month up in the Portland area. A good 40 of them are monolingual Spanish speaking. So she's gotten a lot busier. We also serve providers that speak monolingual Russian and or Ukrainian. We have, again, a Russian, Ukrainian speaking rep and also a bicultural rep. And so she is responsible for all of those homes. Right now, there's only about 40, maybe 45 monolingual Russian speaking. So she takes care of those folks. So the nice thing is that everyone has to do the same amount or the same type of paperwork. And of course, we have it in all the different languages. So many of us here, we don't speak Spanish, but we read Spanish foods fluently. So we can go out to a home, even if they're monolingual Spanish, and read those menus because number one, because we know how to read them in Spanish, and number two, oftentimes there are children there that also speak English. Now, we cannot do that in the Russian homes. The Russian written language is incredibly difficult, and I mean, the only word I can make out is milk. So that wouldn't do a lot of good for me to go out there, but our Russian rep does that. So we do have, I did run, I was running numbers just this morning. And so of those 468 providers, I've got them all broken down by county. And then I do know that there are right now 6,348 children that we are serving. And again, that number is very fluid as kids tend to come and go, although not as much right now because providers have to have a stable group in order to have what's called an emergency childcare license, which is what they need in order to do childcare during COVID.
So can you comment a little bit on, I'm curious about, and maybe you covered this already, and I apologize if I missed it. I mean, you're covering a wide geographic area here. I'm curious about, is that all paid staff? Are they volunteers? You know, because I appreciate Linda's question too. I mean, especially be more mindful of our you know, disadvantaged communities and that don't speak English as their primary language. So making sure that we reach out, I guess.
Yep, we do. They are all, none of them are volunteers. It is all paid staff. So including me, there are 5.5 staff. One person does all of the database work for us. So there's 4.5 of us out there, but we really, really focus on rural communities. I mean, not just cities, because they know about us a little more, but rural communities. Back when schools were in session, we would drop off our brochures and everything at the schools for parents to pick up if they needed childcare, or for childcare providers. We go to, you know, mano a mano, or we go to the ESDs, anywhere we can focus on to try to reach more folks that are disadvantaged, number one, because they live in a rural area. I can say that because I live out in the country, and there are certainly disadvantages to that. Number one is being closer to food. Number two is, you know, having kids being transported out to your house. So again, we try to do outreach there. We will go to, we've certainly done plenty of speaking, and both my Russian and my Spanish speaking reps will go to those trainings. So.
Wow, that's incredible that you're handling all of those that area with such a few staff. That's really remarkable.
Well, I have to tell you, I've got absolutely, I mean, I've been here 28 years, but a couple of my staff have been here 3 of my staff have been here 20 plus years. I just have absolutely an awesome staff, and they work so hard and they work so quickly, and they know their job. So it makes it easier for me, definitely. So we're a good team.
Let's see, I think Jessica Nissen has a question.
Yeah, I'll spotlight myself there. Thank you for your presentation. I think that's great. And having a basic understanding of nutrition is really good for kids. Something I'm curious about though is, so I've spent probably about 5 years studying the research related to eating disorders, and talking to dietitians, and there's a lot of evidence that kids are a lot at risk for developing restrictive eating disorders. And there's even a new eating disorder that is almost, I think, included in the DSM, called orthorexia, which is a obsession with healthy eating. And it often can start when kids get messages of, these foods are bad for you, these foods are good. It kind of creates morality around certain food groups, and then they become afraid of breaking the food rules. And I myself, as a young kid, took a nutrition class where they said you should just make your brownies with black beans, and you should write down every food you've eaten for the last week and then circle the bad meal.
Right.
There was a lot of shame put on the fact that there was pizza eaten. And so just wondering what, because you said there's no actual nutritionists, how are we protecting the kids' mental health? And do you guys work with anyone who can help you with the mental health piece? Are you aware of the dangers of orthorexia, anorexia, those kinds of things?
Yes, we are aware of some of those dangers. We work with our pass-through funder, which is Oregon Department of Education. They do have registered dietitians on hand, so we use those folks when we've got questions. But our number one thing that we do is we never, ever label a food bad. We want kids to know that the key is moderation. The key is not elimination. Can they make cookies together with their childcare provider or with their parents and have a cookie? Absolutely. Absolutely. We all need some treats, and it's okay to call a sweet food a treat as long as the child knows that it's not a bad food. It's just something we want to maybe eat a little less of. So we talk about, we don't label good, we don't label bad, just why it might be important. Like when we do this sugar unit, we don't necessarily talk about it with their health, but we might talk about their teeth and how sugar can cause cavities. And it's not really fun to go to the dentist and have a cavity filled. So we would never ever use a bad food. We want even our childcare providers to know that there are no foods whatsoever that are not allowed to be served. You can serve whatever you want as long as you do serve the recommended foods. So if they've got, for instance, for breakfast, now let's say lunch, let's say they're having spaghetti. And so they need to have spaghetti, they need to have a fruit, they need to have a vegetable or 2 vegetables, they need to have a glass of skim or 1% milk. At the end of that meal, serve more fruit, serve a cookie, fine with us. It's not a claimable food, but it's not unallowable. So did that help a little?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Sue, actually, Jessica kind of veered into an area I wanted to explore with you a little bit. We've got probably just a few more minutes for Q&A. So if anybody does have any further or additional questions, please feel free to let me know or enter them into the chat box. So the thing I'm just was curious about, it struck me, is that your folks are going into these home child care environments and that sort of thing. Right. So I'm wondering, is there some tracking that you're doing, like perhaps on behalf of of a state agency, or as oh gosh, sorry, I just
Happens to me all the time.
Not first responder, but it's like mandatory reporter, that sort
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
Are your folks keeping track of those, is keeping their eyes open for those sorts of things?
Yep, absolutely. We are all, of course, we're all background checked, which, believe it or not, is not a requirement in this food program, which seems very odd, but it's a requirement of mine. So we're all background checked, and we are automatically mandatory reporters. So during staff meetings, that's something we'll touch on. We have made reports to the police. We have made reports to the Child Care Division, and reports to Department of Human Services. But yeah, absolutely. We've got our eyes open for that all the time. And many times, yesterday I saw a child that had a bump right in the middle of their head, and it's just automatic that, oh, hey, what happened? Just to see what the child's going to say. And oftentimes I'll do that in front of the child care provider. So it's important. They are also, of course, mandatory reporters, but the more eyes, the better sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No, I appreciate that very much. That's
Sure.
Good to hear. And then Cindy noted that you all have a great website with fun recipes. So can you let us know what that is?
We do. That website it's Mid-Willamette Valley Community Action Agency. So it's mwvcaa.org. Once you get in there, you click on programs, and you'll click on Nutrition First, and then go to our page. We've got lots and lots of resources and recipes and all kinds of stuff. So
Great.
I'd love for you to go there.
Alrighty. Excellent. And anything you want to kind of wrap up with? Any points to kind of conclude things?
Just that for childcare providers and for the programs, it is so, I'm very happy to come on here and speak, because the childcare food programs, a lot of people don't know about them. The more people, the better. The more kids we can reach with nutritious foods, the more childcare providers we can reach. So I'm happy to come on here and speak, and I thank you all for that, particularly Cindy. Thank you.
All right. Sue, thank you so much. And thank you very much for your time today. Very informative program, and we really appreciate it so very much. So thanks for joining us. And in honor of you, Sue, we actually, Rotary Club of Salem will make a donation to our own Salem Rotary Foundation, which does good works in our communities.
Awesome. Thank you
so much. And Cindy, thank you so much for bringing us the program today. Really appreciate it. Nutrition is always an exceptionally important thing. So it's good to hear how you're reaching such an amazing level of people in our state, especially at this time. So Sue, thank you so much. And Cindy, thank you so much. Really appreciate that. So, and I wish we could all applaud in person. So I just feel like we need to, recognize, and so, but thank you so much. So I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I was happy to.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Sue.
Yep.
So we will go ahead and wrap up here. I wanted to just, while I did have a couple of minutes, just make sure you're reading your weekly e-blast newsletters that are coming out. We had a few items. I just wanted to spotlight our fall literacy grant window is open, and you can read more in our e-blast that came out yesterday about that, but the application deadline is November 20th. And there, if you go into the newsletter, there's a link that'll take you to review the application and learn more. I don't have a date, but we've got a beautiful, amazing photograph of some hardworking Rotarians that helped spread some gravel and wood chips and compost to help the beds and pathways of the Deepwood Gardens. So I just want to make sure and point that out to you guys, and thank you so much for your work there as well. And then finally, there's a link in there about our Salem Rotary membership directory too, so you'll want to access that and to get an updated version of that as well. So really appreciate everybody's hard work on all of these incredible tools and how you're making a difference in our community. So really appreciate that. Next week's program is going to be one it's always a pleasure to really welcome our district governor, and especially this year as well. We are so fortunate to have DG Joe Crenshaw joining us next week, and she's an awesome person. I'm so delighted that she stepped into leadership and serving in our Rotary District 5100. Past District Governor Renee Campbell will be our program chair. So please be here for that meeting. You will not want to miss that. And it is 12:57. We're a couple minutes ahead of schedule, and I'm going to give you that for extra time in your day. So thank you guys so much. And we are
connected to Bruce Singer.